So let's get into the second video of the sixth, and here we're going to focus on the second C, which is city. Now, as a property investor, what I do not buy all my properties in the same city. Now, on separate videos, I've talked around infrastructure, the economy, footfall, property prices, and this is the reason why that I do not buy all my properties in the same city or town, because if something was to happen to the economy in that area, there'd be a footfall slowdown and my individual service accommodation properties could suffer on the back of that, and my profit and loss sheet would be affected. Where on the other hand, as I invest in different towns and cities across the UK, as long as they pass my 4 profit levers, as long as they pass my 6 Cs, I'm really happy to invest in property in different areas of the country. So if I've got 10 properties and 9 are doing really well across the country, but 1 is suffering slightly, my profit and loss isn't too badly affected by that 1 or maybe 2 properties that aren't doing so well. So what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to play a little game with you, because one thing I find is when I'm communicating with new people that are coming into the property sector to looking to invest into property the first time, or people that are investing through investors, I like to ask them this question to see if they're using their head or their heart when they're looking at buying property. So under 2, we can see numbers 1 to 10. What we need to visualize is 1 is the Bronx, and number 10 is Manhattan. Number 2 and 3 are the outskirts of the Bronx, 5 somewhere in the middle, and obviously number 10 is Manhattan. Now, where are you going to buy property? So now, this is my poor excuse for Google Maps. So again, this is Manhattan and this is the Bronx. Where on this Google map are you going to buy property? Are you going to spend, for example, £500,000 buying property right in Manhattan? Now, the bonus with Manhattan is a big shiny city, you've got everything on your doorstep, so why wouldn't you want to buy a property in Manhattan? Because your guests are going to love it, everything's there on the doorstep. On the flip side, would you go to the Bronx to buy property? The Bronx is a very rough place, property is going to be a lot cheaper, crime is going to be a little bit higher as well, so that's what you've got to focus on. Is the Bronx the right place to buy property? So thinking that in mind, on the scale of 1 to 10, using this map as zonal as well, where are you going to buy property? And I'll tell you my sweet spot right here. So, am I going to buy in 10, right in the centre of Manhattan? No, I'm not. Am I going to buy at number 5, between Manhattan and the Bronx? No, I'm not. My sweet spot is between 2 and 3. Okay, so let's go back to my little poor example of Google Maps here. 2 or 3 could be this area here, within 2 to 3 miles of the city centre, but it's not in the Bronx. And there's some really big reasons why that I wouldn't buy directly in the city centre. Reason number 1, if I was going to buy a property in the city centre, for this example, it could be £500,000. If I was going to buy in zone 2 or 3, like I've done here, that property could be worth £100,000, £250,000 to buy in that property. In that area, sorry. So if I'm an investor, it doesn't make sense to spend £500,000 on one property here when I could spend £100,000 or £250,000 to buy a property here that's in a small distance from the city centre. Also as well, if I've got £500,000 budget, I can now buy 2 properties in this area instead of 1. That means 2 rental incomes coming in on my portfolio, which is fantastic news. So the other thing I'd like to say as well, now if you're quite clever and you go onto Airbnb and Booking.com and you look at properties that are in the centre that are almost like for like in terms of decoration and facilities for a property that's on the outskirts, the rental value between those 2 properties are virtually the same. Just because it's in the centre of Manhattan doesn't mean you're going to be paying more for your stay. It's actually almost the same price as 2 or 3. So not only are you buying a price cheaper, you're also going to be able to market the property at the same price or close to those properties in the city centre, but depending on the decoration and depending on the facilities available. That is very, very powerful to understand that. So thinking using your head and not your heart, you should be able to buy property on the outskirts of a city for a lesser price, but knowing full well that your night rate, your rental income is almost going to be the same as the centre in this example, Manhattan. Once you get your head around that and once you understand that, it's going to make your mind super clear, and you're going to target certain areas within or on the outskirts of a city for properties you're going to look to buy. I hope you understand that. Any questions at all, put in the comments box and I've been more than happy to answer those questions, and I'll see you in video 3. Many thanks.